Welcome back to the Catnip Podcast. My name is Grace, and today is Monday, October 26th. This is a podcast about knitting, books, baking, and cats, but most importantly knitting, because that is what I love to do all day, every day. If you'd like to follow me on any of my social medias, I have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Ravelry. I'm most active on Instagram, so please go follow me over on there if you'd like. There's also show notes, links to things that I will be talking about in this episode. I may forget. If I do, please send me a message. If you have any questions or just want to say hello, please send me a message. I would love that. Love hearing from my viewers. You're wonderful. We have knitting to talk about, to discuss today. It's like not number-wise, it's not very big, but amount of knitting that happened is quite extensive. If you'd like to grab something tasty to drink, something to snack upon, something to craft upon, an animal to snuggle, laundry to fold, maybe you're making dinner, you could be working out, I don't know, you could be doing all of the above, you can come back and join me for some crafty chat. I've been very productive today. Fun fact. I'm sure you are really dying to know the amount of my productivity on this October Monday. All the laundry is folded. I did remember to bring out the chicken to thaw for dinner. It worked out. That was great. I'm very tired. And then I was all ready to record, and had everything set up, and everything was ready to go, and then I got distracted by Ravelry and Instagram and looking at yarn and planning projects that I don't currently have time for, and I want to do all these other ones that I currently have yarn for, and yeah. That was about 45 minutes of my day, which was super fun. I loved it. I loved every single minute of it, but in reality, the plans that I came up with probably won't happen for a long time because I have so many other things that I want to get to, need to get to, should get to, all that jazz, but that's okay. I have plans in the back of my mind for, when the time does come. I feel like, sorry, we're getting this deep knitting discussion out of the way before we talk about any actual knitting. But this has to do with knitting, so, it works with the theme of this podcast. But who am I to keep to my theme of my podcast? I talk about the weather, I talk about books, so that is part of the theme. Mainly the weather, my allergies. Talk about things that are not related to this podcast. Anyway, getting very off topic. I don't think it's bad to be, I wouldn't say distracted by other projects when you have a lot to work on, or you have things on your needles, or if you have yarn for things. If you see patterns that you really like and you want to do you feel inspired to do yarn research, or you feel like that would be a fun, enjoyable task or activity for you to do, I think that is super awesome. It doesn't, just because you have searched out yarn and you may have put it in your basket or your cart, doesn't mean you have to buy it. You can save it to a wish list. And then you can send that wish list to other people when Christmas comes around. It's quite wonderful. So I think when the creativity bug bites you, or you feel particularly creative, or you're inspired by a picture you saw on Instagram or something or whatever, and you're like, oh, I could look into that sweater, or that shawl, or could look into pom-poms for my hats or whatever, but I have a lot of things I should work on. If you have the time, I say go for it, do the research, because it's going to be a lot of fun. You're really going to enjoy it. because you love the thing that was inspired, or you inspired you. You saw the thing, it caught your eye. You probably added it to your queue or something. Embrace the inspiration. I think that's important, because we don't want to squash that down. I think that's very sad. And I've definitely done this before. I've definitely been like, I'm not gonna look it up because I'm not gonna get anything soon. So that's okay. But on the other hand, the past 45 minutes, though I was definitely procrastinating when I should have been recording, was super fun. And I had so much fun. And now I have even more, like, plans put in place, and I know kind of what I want to do with some sweaters. Came up with other ideas for other things. Added a bunch of Stephen West shawls to my queue. Surprise, surprise. And a couple of his sweaters, which is super exciting. And yeah, I don't know when those are gonna happen. I have also when I use the term yarn research, that could be looking up if your favorite indie dyer is having a sale. It could be looking at Jimmy Beans, if they're having any deals, or like looking up your favorite yarn brand there, or webs, or local yarn stores, or anything like that. It could be looking at knit picks, or it could be looking at your stash, which I could have been doing. I did for half of the projects that I looked at. The rest of them I was looking at new yarn for. But no shame. Actually, that's one of them was using stash, and I want to add something to it. Actually, 2 of them were. No, 3 of them were. It's not that bad. And it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. I don't know if this pep talk is mainly for like my viewers, or if it's for me. Maybe it's for both of us. It's not a bad thing. Enjoy the yarny, crafty creativity whenever it pops up. Enjoy it. It's fun to be creative. It's fun to come up with ideas and think about how things could be made a certain way. Think about how you really want it made. Think about how you want to wear it. Think about how it fits into your wardrobe. It's just a lot of fun. Did I write any of my information down? No. Will I forget a lot of it? Probably. Would highly recommend writing it down or documenting it somewhere, because that comes in very helpful later on. But I did save stuff in like various accounts and favorites, wish lists and such, you know. Anyway, that was quite the ramble. I was not planning on discussing that for such a long time. I feel very passionately about that. So now, yes, next time you're like, I shouldn't research that. I shouldn't go looking for yarn for this. Doesn't mean you have to buy it. You can have fun looking at it. And then you can then when you'll find the yarn. If you're gonna get new yarn, you'll find the yarn, and then you can look at it and know that it may inspire you to finish the things you have on your needles. It may encourage you to pull out other things that you have that are similar. That's also really wonderful. And then if you don't get the yarn right then, which is totally fine, you have something to look forward to. Like, you know, you figured out what you really want to use. You figured out that is like the thing that is going to bring you the most joy, that'll fit the best into your knitwear wardrobe and all that kind of stuff. And then you can just look forward to it and be like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to knit this thing whenever that happens. I don't know when, but when I do, I know I really want to use this yarn because that is super exciting, and I've done the research, figured out my yardage. All I'm just waiting for is the right time. And then you have this like bundle of joy and happiness all ready to go whenever you're ready for it. And how amazing is that, you know? Because again, 2020 is the year to find the joy in the little things. It's always been that way, but particularly this year, we need to find the joy in the little things. And if that is researching yarn that you don't necessarily plan on buying in the moment, let it be one of those things. Make that a bundle of joy. Am I talking in circles? I feel like I'm talking in circles. I feel like I've said the same thing about 10 times. Maybe in the same words, in different orders. And for that I apologize, but I felt passionate about this topic and I wanted to talk about it. So now I've talked about it. And I hope that was encouraging to you. So, with that being said, I'm going to take a tea break. I'm drinking some kind of apricot. I say apricot. I just hit myself in the chin. Oolong tea. I think it's oolong. I don't actually remember. It's very good. Fun fact. Anyway, I'm going to take a little tea break, and then we will get to talking about the actual knitting, because that is part of this podcast. The other part is random things and knitting topics that I want to talk about to you, because this is the conversation, you know? Now it's time for a tea break. Okay. One more thing about what I have been talking about, and then I will move on. I do apologize, but I just thought of this. One thing that I personally, this is not necessarily a struggle that I have, but definitely something that I run into. And that's when I am doing this super fun yarn research and I'm looking at other people's projects and I see the cold climates that other people live in, and I kind of get a little jealous. I am envious of the climates that other people live in. I am jealous of the cold weather. I'm jealous of the snow. My best friend texted me this morning and sent me the radar picture of where she is, and there was a bunch of snow and ice coming, and I was like, 80 degrees and it's so humid. I just want to wear my knitwear and not be sweaty. Like, please, I just don't want to be sweaty in my knitwear. I feel like I'm not the only one who gets envious of other people and their climates. I am so, that to be said, I am so happy for those people who do get to enjoy that. I love that for them, but I also want that for myself. And that doesn't really happen in Houston. And also, we're very happy in Houston, so we don't plan on moving anytime soon to a climate that is not hot and humid. But that's okay. I can live vicariously through people's pictures, and when the world calms down, whenever that happens, we can take trips to cold climates. But who knows when that's happening. So, Yes. There's a very loud truck driving by. Also, the mattress is still here. Fun fact. Anyway, that is really all I wanted to talk about. I'm trying not to bump the tripod too much. We're gonna tuck all these ends in. We're going to pretend that I have trimmed them. Because technically they are all woven in. Because thanks to Stephen West, Weavin' Steven, we know how to weave in ends as we go, which is life-changing. Truly, truly life-changing. Especially in this Mr. Knit-Along, people. Oh my goodness, there are so many ends. I can't even. But that is not what I'm about to show you. I am about to show you a finished object. Past couple weeks, I have been working on random little projects with my mom and my sister. And that's been super fun. We've been kind of having a distanced sit and knit time together on Fridays around lunchtime. We will FaceTime each other and watch the Great British Bake Off because our episodes in America come out on Friday. And so we watched the new episode and we knit on our knit-along piece that we're working on, or last week I worked on the mystery knit-along because I was behind, but we'll get to that in just a moment. But anyway, I finished my moosey hat, which, did we figure out what the plural form of moose was? No, I did not. Was I planning on doing that? I don't remember. We'll look it up now. How about that? Also, fun fact, I made some crockpot bolognese yesterday on Sunday, and it was so good. So I had this open up on my phone, which made me think of it. I'm sorry, that has nothing to do with what the plural form of moose is. Plural form of moose. Oh, is moose. The only correct plural of moose is moose. Sometimes people add an S to moose, but that is incorrect. What is a meese? It's a chiefly humorous plural form of moose. Don't know why. Anyway, this is not a grammar or spelling or anything like that podcast. Though I do get quite off topic. Anyway, this is my moose hat. Meese hat. Moosies. Whatever. And it's done. This is by Robin Fiore. And, yeah, it's a good stash buster, that is for sure. And, yes, like I said, I did tuck all my ends in, and we're going to pretend that I have trimmed all of them. I also need to block it. So I'll do that, after. It's also going to get a pom-pom. Have I been procrastinating about the pom-pom? 100%. Do I know why? Or do I have a good reason? No. Except I've been working on the mystery knit-along, so. But the pom-pom would take me literally like less than 10 minutes. Why have I procrastinated? Tell me. Why have I been procrastinating? I don't know. Anyway, this is my moose hat. It's awesome. Love a good colorwork beanie. Stash, mainly, it is all knit picks. I held the palette, which is this coral color. I held palette double. The rest is Wool of the Andes. All I know is that this gray color is onyx heather, the ice blue, and the purple color, I don't know what they are called. I do know that the coral is called Mai Tai. Fun fact. And yeah, so this is done. This should get a pom-pom. This also needs to be blocked. I think it's, I don't know why blocking, like I really just need to block it. It would be so easy. but also, do I really want to block it? I don't know. I liked how that fit. So, Moose Hat by Robin Fiore. Would highly recommend. Especially if you are new to color work. There are lots of sizes, lots of different charts for different sizes, which the pattern was very well written. I will say that I kind of played around with my color, so the coral color was supposed to technically be in the purple, but I wanted to throw in a little something something, and so I just made the snowflakes as well. That being said, if you do that, your floats may be insane at times. And I say that because I have done it, and they were quite insane at times. But that's okay. I really am very happy with how it turned out. You know? So, finished object. That is wonderful, you know. Next up, I have my test knit for Isabel Kramer. This is the Forager sweater. And I had one goal last week, because I was not quite I was pretty far away for dividing for the sleeves when I showed this to you last. So dividing for the sleeves was my one goal of last week, and I definitely completed it. I completed it pretty quickly. I don't know what it is, but somehow, like, my hands get really tired working with this yarn. Isn't this so pretty? I love this yarn so much. But I don't know if it's like my gauge, I don't know if it's the yarn, I don't know what exactly, but for some reason whenever I work on this, my hands get tired very quickly. And that's okay. You know, it is what it is. So this is a top-down. Thank you to those who commented about this shoulder construction. Reading your comments definitely did jog my memory, and you, I believe, are correct. This can be called a saddle shoulder, or it can be called a contiguous shoulder construction, which looks funny because the sleeve is on a Scooby. But we have this straight portion here, boop, boop, and then we increase out for the sleeve, which is now there. And it fits very, very well. We have mock cables, one for each sleeve. We have one in the front and one in the back. I'm very happy with how this is turning out. I am very, very much looking forward to working on this again, because clue 3 of the mystery knit along was not as long as I was expecting it to be, which is quite wonderful. That being said, I don't know if there's another bonus clue. There could be, but that's okay. So yes, this is a test knit. This is definitely coming up of needing to be done. So we're going to pretend that I've got a lot done, and you just can't see it, but I actually have a lot to do. In fact, I've like not even knit a row since dividing for the sleeves. That's okay. Wait, have I done that? No, I have not. So cast on edge for under the sleeves. But now that we've divided for the sleeves, the rows are shorter, so that's one positive. The other positive, or another positive, I've definitely gotten my mock cable system down. That's good. 3, it's good reading, knitting, which is nice. Or not. I don't necessarily have to be reading, but it's definitely nice, mindless knitting for the most part, minus the mock cables. So yes, And the sleeves are not, like, obviously straight. I mean, they are straight knitting, but they do have mock cable on them. But again, I've got my mock cable system down. I know how to watch my rows. I know what to do. So yes, I would love to be a high and lofty goal to have finished the body by next week. I doubt that's gonna happen, but it will be a high and lofty goal. We will shoot for the stars. We may not make it, but that's okay. We have big plans. I do plan on knitting a lot on this though this week, so it may not be done, but it will be increased. Lengthened is the correct word. Will be lengthened significantly for next week's episode. So, you're probably wondering what the yarn is, unless you saw last week's episode, in which case you probably know. But if you would like to be reminded or don't know, this is the Dererum Natura Ulysses. It's a French yarn, and yes, I do claim to know a lot of things about France and the French language, and yet I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. So, I do apologize, but I love this yarn. I kind of want to knit all my things in it now. It's very woolen spun. I believe it's just really squishy and I love it so much. This is the quartz color. And it's very hard to tell on camera. It's almost kind of hard to tell in person. Like, you definitely have to be very close to it, but there are parts of it that are a little bit more heathered with like a darker fuzz that's part of the yarn. I don't believe it's part of the dye part of it, I guess, but it's like almost heathered, and it is beautiful, and I love it so much. I'm also using various stitch markers from Hand Stitch Life. I have all my mock cable stitch markers, and then I also have my pumpkin spice or my maple donut. I think it's my maple donut. Fun fact, donuts. Speaking of donuts, what is your favorite type of donut? Having never had an apple spice donut, I cannot attest to that being the best donut of all time. I say this while I put this back in this bag. But if we were going, let's say we were, if the world was normal, if the world was not crazy right now, and you and I, dear viewer, were going on a breakfast date hangout where we would go and get coffee and donuts and knit somewhere delightful. Maybe it's chilly outside. I would prefer that. Or maybe it's cold and snowy outside and we're sitting inside with a fire. That would be amazing. What donut would you get? Or donuts? You're not limited to just one. I would probably pick a cake old-fashioned donut. Those are my all-time favorite donuts. Fun fact, because I like that you can like peel off the sides and then you can eat them slowly. Enjoy it. And then I also really, really do love maple donuts. They are so good. So good. So, it's a random turn of events. What is your favorite donut? This has become a donut podcast. You know, who am I? The donut knit podcast. That's silly. That's not a thing. Let's move on to the next project. I got distracted by Instagram. It's not a bad thing. It's also great because it reminded me of something that I wanted to talk about. So that's good. Let's move on to the next project, shall we? This will be the Mystery Knit Along. This will be the last project that I worked on this week. I am not quite halfway, no, I'm not even close to halfway done with section 5. But so clue 3 that we got this past Friday had section 4 and section 5. And somehow, by some magical knitting speediness, I happened to just rip through section 4, which was great because it was a lot of knitting. But it wasn't as much as clue 2, for sure. Clue 2 was a lot of knitting. What is also funny is that when, actually no, I'll show this to you and then I'll tell you this story, which is, I don't think is necessarily super funny. I personally think it's funny, so I want to share it with you because you're my friend. So if you don't want to be spoiled by clue 4, I realize that probably by the time this goes up, more and more pictures of clue 4, or clue 3, excuse me. Clue 3 will be out. So just be aware, I'm getting ready to show you what my shawl looks like, and it's not gonna look like anything because we're in the middle of short rows. Ta-da! Ta-da! It's so beautiful. Okay, so this is no surprise. Like, having things in the middle of the row because you're doing a bunch of short rows or whatever. Doing these little wedgies right here. I'm loving it. I saw someone on Instagram, I forget who it was, but Stephen West included their picture in one of his like spoiler reveal pictures, but she had done, or whoever had done, the wedgies in different colors. I think it's weird that I'm calling them wedgies just because of what a wedgie is, but I also like calling them wedgies. Wedges, wedgies, whatever. It's what they are. These little triangle guys. So they had done them in all different colors that were included in their shawl, and I loved that. In the pattern, he has written it so you do them all in your color 3. This particular clue, I don't know where my head was at, but one, I thought it was super short and I had totally missed the last page, which apparently I was not the only one. I've read that other people have done that, so I feel better about that. The second thing is that I completely messed up my color order and my clue, or my contrasting color 3 and 2 have switched places. So this like checked section, the goldy color was actually supposed to be the pink, and the pink in this section was actually supposed to be the goldy color. This is another situation where I'm not going to read back because I don't really want to. And it's really okay because it's uniquely mine and I can do whatever I want. I know this is not something that Stephen himself would say no to, and yeah, I just didn't want to rip it back. I also made some mistakes in clue 2, and now I can't, oh, there it is. I was going to say, if I can't find that, then that is amazing. But again, this was another situation where I was like, I'm not ripping that back. Nope. Am I missing a garter ridge? 100%. The entire row. But nobody will notice, okay? So it's fine. I'm gonna leave it. It's in this section. So I've already made my mistake that I'm not taking out. Actually, no, that's not right. I actually have made 2 mistakes that I didn't take out in clue 3. So we'll see what happens in clue 4. I am not ashamed of the fact that I have made mistakes that I am not taking out, because again, it makes it uniquely mine. What was I going? Oh, I remember. Okay, so everyone, as I was working on this last night, I had not gotten to the wedgies yet, and I was working on this little check section, and I was like, it would be very funny, and I also hope this doesn't happen, where we have short rows in this clue, because there's no way I'm getting all these short rows done for tomorrow's recording, so then I'll have to show this to everyone in the middle of a row. And my friends, that is exactly what happened. So, you can't really see what this looks like. Also, I realize that this is not the longest cable in the world. When you have as many stitches on this needle as we all do, if you're doing the mystery knit along, there are so many stitches. Should I get a lot longer cord? Yes. But do I want to take the time to find the needles and the cord? No. Because I know that that cord is part of an interchangeable thing. I don't have like a fixed set like that. So, I'm being lazy and I don't want to put in the extra work. So I think it'll be fine. He said in the video with the instructions on how to do this, that clue 4 will be the determining time to figure out how big we want this shawl to be, which is quite intense because this shawl is horty massive. It is so big, and I love it. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. So I don't really know what I'm gonna do. It might be fun to make it bigger because I have not done that in past years. So this might be a fun one to do it, but I don't know. May be able to tell more on Friday. So we will see. I came so close to finishing before Friday from clue 2. I was so close. I maybe had like 6 rows left. 10 rows left, maybe. I didn't make it. And I barely made it. I think I finished it, clue 2, on Friday night. Because I remember starting it. Was it Friday or was it Saturday? It may have been Saturday. Because I was working on some other things. It was a lot of knitting and, yeah. But I got it done, and I'm glad that this one's shorter, which is really nice because, like I said, I've already finished section 4. Section 5 is super easy. I figured out how I can do it quickly because math, and you divide it by the days, and it's just boom, you're done. Which should be really great because if we recall earlier, I have a sweater test knit that doesn't have any body or any sleeves and is due sometime in the end. No, not the end. It's not the beginning either. It's the middle of November. I'll be fine. It'll be okay. It's just that this mystery knit along is also a thing, and I just want to get it. I want to be like in time with everyone else. I really just want to be doing the same thing as everyone else. I don't want to fall behind, which I know is fine. I know it's okay. It's not at the end of the world. But yeah, I would love that. So yarn wise, the blue, my main color is Relax It's Just Magic by Lamb Strings Yarn. We have Stone from Hedgehog Fibers. We have Golden Praline by Uncommon Thread, and then we have Rose Gold by Chelsea Lux. I'm very happy with how this little section turned out. I think it is very cool. I'm very happy with how my colors came together. I also really love how this purple looks. I think this is super fun. And my mistake that I didn't want to take out. So, just moving forward with this. As an example of how big this thing is, if you want an example, I just said that. If you want comparison to how big this thing is. So, you guys know this bag. This bag is huge. This bag has held full sweaters, multiple items, lots of balls of yarn. This thing could have a little bit more stuffed into it, but it's pretty much full, and it holds the shawl and then 4 half skeins. Like, the skeins are not full skeins, they are smushy down skeins, and the rest of it is shawl and maybe a couple ball bands, even though they are folded up and take up no space. So this is huge. This is a bag that was sewn for me by Cassie of Big Sky Yarn Company. And I love this bag so much. And it is huge and holds all my massive projects. And it is holding this behemoth of a shawl. It's huge. So, I love that it gets to live in here. And it is truly wonderful. So that is all the knitting that I have for this week. Like I said, I didn't really... number of projects-wise, there was not a lot that got done, but knitting-wise, I got so much done. Like, Clue 2 is done. Very quickly, the thing I wanted to talk about, which really doesn't have anything to do with knitting, but I really want to share this with everybody because I think it's fun. Which is a good reason to share things with people, you know? So I am part of an online Facebook group book club thing that puts on random events throughout the months, of like readathons and just things to help encourage you to read more and try out new things and all that kind of stuff. It's super fun. And one of the events for October was like a classics event. And so there were prompts and all that jazz, and the only requirement was that the book was older, 50 years or older. And for some reason, I had just been thinking about Jane Austen a lot. And I grew up listening to Jane Austen's books. I grew up watching the 5-hour-long Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth and Jennifer Ely. The Emma with Gwyneth Paltrow, the Mansfield Park. I don't remember who's in that, but I grew up watching all those movies and listening and all that kind of stuff. So I am definitely Jane Austen fan through and through. It's very much like a, this is familiar, this is very comforting. And so I hadn't read any of the books in a long time, so I decided to start with Sense and Sensibility, which is my favorite. I love that movie. I love the book. I love the story. I love the characters. Though Colonel Brandon is not my favorite Jane Austen male lead. That would be Mr. Knightley. But I do love Colonel Brandon. Fun fact. So I started with Sense and Sensibility. And I can't begin to express to you how much I enjoyed it. It was so much fun. I listened to an audiobook and it was just a reminder of how witty and sarcastic Jane Austen is, and so I finished that, and then I read Emma, or listened to Emma, and Sense and Sensibility is funny, but Emma is hilarious. Like, I forgot how funny it is written, and just the funny quotes that are in it, and then the quotes that are in the book that also got put into the movie, that are some of my favorites, that make really no sense out of context. Like, Miss Smith. That wouldn't make sense out of context, but in the context of Emma, it is hilarious. And the particular scene with Mr. Elton and Emma, you know, anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed them. So if you have not read any of Jane Austen and you really enjoy, like, British literature, especially the funny, they're not all funny, they're not all meant to be funny, but they're just very sarcastic, and it's like a lot of satire. I would highly recommend checking out and reading the books. Also, of course, watching all the film adaptations, because they're all wonderful. Some are better than others, in my personal opinion. I know that everybody else has their own opinion about the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice, but no. Colin Firth, all the way. I'm not saying the other one is bad, but it's just not the best, in my personal opinion. We could rant about this all day, but we don't have all day, so we'll rein this in. So I think I really enjoyed that, so I think I'm going to continue reading other Jane Austen novels, because, I mean, I've read them before. This is not new information, and just because it's so much fun, it's very calming. I really enjoy it. So it may be like a autumnal thing for me, that I just read through Jane Austen's novels, as you do. Because I need to work on my forager body. I'm working on that. I need to have a lot of knitting, reading, knitting, all that jazz. You know, it is a thing. So, yeah. If you have a favorite Jane Austen novel, please let me know what it is. I'm always interested to find out which one people love the most. Obviously you have the main ones like Pride and Prejudice and Emma and Sense and Sensibility. But there's Northanger Abbey, and there's Persuasion, and there's Mansfield Park, and then there's all the other ones that are not even nearly as close to those, that I'm not as familiar with, that I haven't read. So, do you have a favorite? Please let me know. Please let me know that, and your favorite type of donut. Because this is a knitting podcast, people. This is what we talk about, you know? This is a conversation. We're hanging out. We're enjoying the supposedly cool weather, you know. But I do think that is all that I have. I should probably stop ranting and raving, because I have done a lot of that in this episode, which I do not apologize for, because it's important information and fun information and things that I wanted to talk about with you, because you're my friend. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I really appreciate you hanging out with me this week, past weeks, future weeks, whenever you're watching this. You are wonderful, and I really appreciate every single one of you. There's social medias, show notes, all that jazz. If you have any questions, would like to say hello, send me a message. Would love that. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and you continue to have a wonderful week. If you have crafty plans, I hope that they are successful. If you are mystery knitting alonging, because that's a verb, MCALing, I hope that you are chugging right along with the pace that you wanted to go along at, and that was your goal. I hope that it is not overwhelming. I hope that you are doing exactly how you planned it to. And if not, that's okay. You know what? It's really okay. It's not a race. There's no deadline. Unless it's a testnet, in which case there is. Or a gift. There are deadlines for things, but that's okay. There is not a deadline on this MCAL. Want to make progress on everything. I said I was going to pull something out of my Languishing Whips pile to work on. I didn't do that. Because clue 2 was a lot of knitting. So much knitting. But that's okay. It is what it is. So we're just making progress on everything. Clue 3 will be done, and we'll have clue 4, and we'll have the next clue by the next time I see you, which is kind of crazy. The next and last clue. What? Where has October gone? When I see you next, it'll be November. That's insane. So I need to go. My SD card is basically full. So thank you again so much for watching this episode. Appreciate you. You are wonderful. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.